love, holy love, sacred love, abundant love, source of love, let your love shine down on me. From below, from above, love I hope I'm worthy of. Oh, source of love, let your love shine down on me. Before the morning light, I already feel it shining. Before I open up my eyes, I already see it shining. When my road is rough, I can feel your love, and that's enough for me. Blessed love, holy love, sacred love, abundant love, source of love, let your love shine down on me. As above, so below, love from whom all blessings flow. Oh, source of love, let your love shine down on me.
Good evening, Shabbat Shalom. It is a pleasure to be together here in the Beit HaTefillah. I'm excited to be back, and I'm excited to see each of you. And I'm excited as well to be streaming again our Shabbat evening service. I'm so glad you are joining us in the online community as well. Though we took a break for Federation's mega mission, we didn't take a break from Shabbat, of course, and the life of the synagogue, and I am eternally grateful to Rabbi Mahler for offering me and my family the chance to get away, first on the Federation mega mission and a little bit of family vacation, and it was a wonderful opportunity. We had a chance to travel with Federation and with a number of congregants all over the state of Israel. We started in Tel Aviv, the city that never sleeps, to learn a little bit more, I guess the other city that never sleeps, to learn a little bit more about tech and innovation, which many Israelis would attribute to being the basis for the Abraham Accords. More than realpolitik, they believe that it is economics that led to peace processes with their neighbors. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. We went from Tel Aviv up to Pittsburgh's more bucolic sister city in Carmiel, Misgav, learning a little bit about the work of Federation and the programs there, and then to Jerusalem, the historic capital of our people, both spiritually and in the real world. And it was a wonderful opportunity to travel together, to learn together. And still, it's exciting to come back to one's own congregation and to sleep on one's own pillow. And I'm excited to be with each of you this evening, and I'm excited to be back with Rabbi Emily Meyer. As we turn in our prayer books tonight, we are on page 10, How Good It Is to Be Here Tonight.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
There are many different ways we might conceptualize relationships between people and a place, between individuals, perhaps even between people and a time. And on the following page, page 11 in our prayer book, we find words of Dovili. These words might be offered when we celebrate a marriage. These words might be offered as we welcome in Shabbat, welcoming in, centering that relationship in our lives.
Dodili vani lo harohe bashoshanim. Dodili mizotola min hamidbar mizotola min hamidbar. Dodili vani lo harohe bashoshanim. Dodili mikuteret mor levona dodili vani lo harohe bashoshanim. Dodili.
And turning back in our prayer books to page 2, we find the prayer as we welcome Shabbat formally, as we kindle the lights of Shabbat. Allison, please would you join us as on page 2, first we light the candles, then we join together singing this prayer.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And And on page 5 in our prayer books, we welcome and embrace the sweetness of Shabbat. If it is comfortable for you to do so, I would invite you to rise as we join together in this prayer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahav ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim ki vanu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha me'ava u'ratzon hin'chaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh
Shabbat.
L'chaim. I invite you to find your seats as we continue. Pages 13, page 14, Psalm 96 in the Hebrew and English as we welcome Shabbat, as we raise our voices in new song unto God.
Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
Perhaps the pinnacle of our Kabbalat Shabbat prayers, pages 20 and 21, we again focus on that relationship this time between the people of Israel and the day that God has made. Words of Lecha Dodi center us, they focus us, they remind us of the importance of that relationship, they remind us of the importance of time. I think that this melody is one we're excited for this evening. It is well known in the congregation, and I hope you will join us as we begin on page 20, make our way to page 21, rising, of course, for the final stanza.
Yalalai l'chadodi, yalalai l'kat kala, yalalai p'nei Shabbat nekabela, shamor v'zachor, b'dibor echad, hishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, ushmo echad, l'shemo tiferet, v'lithilah, yalalai, yalalai l'chadodi, yalalai l'kat kala, yalalai p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha ki mikor habracha merosh mikerem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshvat tchila yalalai yalalai lecharudi yalalai likrat kala yalalai p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri ki va'orech kumi uri shir daveri kevod Adonai alaich nigla yalalai lecharudi yalalai likrat kala yalalai p'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ater bala gam b'simcha ub'tzola toch emuneh am seguda boi chala yalalai lecharudi yalalai likrat kala yalalai p'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Before we continue our words of welcoming by welcoming God's ministering angels, while you're already up, would you take this opportunity to turn to the people around you to wish them a Shabbat Shalom? Oh, and I invite you, when your greetings have wrapped up, to find your seat. We continue to greet one another. We continue to welcome in God's ministering angels, page 24, words of Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mihi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, מלכיון ממלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Would you join me in the prayer book on the top of page 29, that we might read together in the English before our Baruch Hu praise? There is one who sings a song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nivarech, let us bless. And I invite you to rise as bless we do on page 28.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed.
On the top of page 31, together. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 32.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Aken Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu, Ukumenu nasiach b'chukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, Uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, Uvahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla, ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem invite you to be seated as we continue now on page 36. Ve'ahavta et
Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher nochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בעיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
On the top of page 41, in preparation for our Mi Chamocha praise, sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai lai la lai lai ya la 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 lai. Yai la lai lai ya la 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 lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nera b'kodesh, nora tehilo sefer, nora tehilo sefer. Malachutecha uvanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'elianu ve'ameru, Ze'elianu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
Page 42, we find our Hashkivenu praise. There are weeks in our lives where it feels like we are on the precipice of peace, that things are going so well. We envision that shelter of peace spread over us quickly and in our day. And then there are those times where peace feels like it is impossibly far away, that this feels like a hope and a prayer rather than optimism for what could be. No matter how we're feeling in any given moment, this prayer on Shabbat, this prayer that we say every evening, anchors us. It reminds us of what's possible, and it offers us a glimmer of that peace that, God willing, comes soon. We continue on page 42.
43. We're going to start on the top of page 43 and then sing the first 4 words on 42 after that. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, leshalom. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Continue now with our Vishamru praise as Ahad Ha'am teaches more than the Jewish people has kept Shabbat. Shabbat has kept the Jewish people. We continue on page 44 or page 45. 44.
44. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם בין יהודים בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם עוד היא לעולם אותי לעולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש שבת ויהי נפש שבת ויהי נפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם בברית עולם.
As you rise for our Amidah, beginning on pages 46 and 47, if it's comfortable for you to do so, would you join me in the English in the middle of page 47? Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not water the parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot,
ומביאו לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים והופך עולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעלו חסלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
I invite you to continue with the remaining blessings of the Amidah found through page 60 in your prayer books, or to add to these words of tradition the words of prayer that can only come from your own heart. And when you have finished your silent prayer this evening, I invite you to be seated.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי ויון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני צורי וגואלי יהיו לרצון אמרי פי ויון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי
Mishaberach lecholim asks for God's presence, God's blessing in our lives and in the lives of those who are ill, those who may be suffering this Shabbat from ailments of mind, of body, of spirit. As we turn to page 253 in our Sidurim for words of Mishaberach, we bring to mind those whom we are thinking, who need that extra sense of peace, that extra sense of healing this Shabbat. And if there are those names you wish to say aloud, that we might concert our effort and our prayers on their behalf, I would invite you to do so.
Archer Abrams, Jeffrey Abrams, and Dr. King.
Jay Burton. Sonia Dickinson.
Marsha Freeman.
Ray Blazak.
Unruffin, Ukrainian refugees, and the families of those that were killed in Buffalo, Texas.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofeh HaCholim. Blessed are you, God, who brings a measure of comfort to all who are ill.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So, did I miss anything when I was traveling for these last couple of weeks in our American life? I jest, of course. The Supreme Court ruling on abortion access, on school funding, on prayer in schools, on the availability of firearms, the shooting deaths of parade goers and black men, additional details and the apparent apathy of Americans regarding the events of January 6, 2021, the ongoing war in Ukraine. All of these are newsworthy far beyond the borders of the United States. It has been an eventful start to this summer, not only in the news cycle, but in the lived experience of those of us trying to process the news cycle. And that's where I want to spend our time this evening. How are you? Surprised? Content? Discontent? Satisfied? Angry? The emotions that I've been hearing from members of the congregation aren't as easily expressed with a thumbs up or with a thumbs down. I've heard from people who are exhausted by a relentless onslaught of news that they perceive as bad. I've heard from people who are weary about a COVID wave that just never seems to crest. I've heard from people who are disheartened when so much feels so important, but feels so very outside of our control. And I hear that. And I also know that there are many people who are celebrating at the start of summer, that they're happy and joyous. And I thank God for the new babies born and the weddings that are finally coming together and the moves that are taking place and the vacation plans that are sort of kind of going off according to plan. Keep posting those pictures and those moments of joy because we all need to see them. But for those who are feeling just a bit world weary right now, or those who may be feeling bifurcated between the personal experience of joy amidst so much concern, I want to remind you of an important debate that took place between public intellectuals. In 2018, Harvard psychology professor Steven Pinker wrote his book Enlightenment Now to remind us that this world is becoming a better place. Hear him out. If we can agree that, quote, life is better than death, health is better than sickness, sustenance is better than hunger, abundance is better than poverty, peace is better than war, safety is better than being in danger, freedom is better than tyranny, equal rights are better than bigotry and discrimination, literacy is better than illiteracy, Pinker writes, and happiness is better than misery, then we should be quite pleased, actually, because the world has made spectacular progress in each and every single measure of human well-being. The murder rate has gone down. Quality of life has gone up. Terrorism and civil war has gone down. Our personal safety has actually gone up. Extreme poverty in this world, believe it or not, has gone down. Of course, Pinker recognizes that this progress isn't linear. He says real historical curves have wiggles and upticks, spikes, and sometimes screeching lurches, but progress still occurs. There is, Pinker writes, no better time to be alive than this day. He says things are getting better, and statistically, he is absolutely right. So why do we, as rational human beings who can see the evidence before us, often feel so weary or exhausted or disheartened? If progress is an international reality, and it's a statistical fact, it is, why do so many of us believe otherwise? And that's where another Harvard guy comes in, Daniel Gilbert. Gilbert and his postdoc, David Levari, created an experiment. Together, they gave participants a chart containing a large number of dots on a spectrum from very blue on one side to very purple on the other side. And they asked participants to select only those dots that were blue. After running through the experiment, they broke the group in half, and they did it again, with one group receiving exactly the same chart in exactly the same assignment, and unsurprisingly, getting the exact same results, and another group receiving a chart with significantly fewer blue dots. Surprisingly, that second group continued to mark a statistically equal number of dots as being blue, even though they didn't mark them as blue the first time through the experiment. It turns out, Gilbert writes, that when the prevalence of blue dots decreases, participants' concept of what is blue actually increased to dots they previously excluded. Said another way, we as human beings see relatively rather than absolutely. We change our standards depending on context. When blue dots are rare, those purplish dots look to us just a little bit more blue. So too it is, he writes, with human progress. When problems become rare, we count more things as being problems. The more progress we observe, Gilbert writes, the greater the remaining injustice appears to us. When the world gets better, we perceive it as getting worse. We become harsher critics. And this can cause us to mistakenly conclude that no progress has been made. It's counterintuitive, right? The better this world gets, the worse it actually seems to us. As Pinker points out, the world is getting better, and he's right. And as Gilbert acknowledges, prevalence-induced concept change leads us to believe it's not getting better. And he's right, too. Where these two intellectuals meet is what I want you to hear tonight, is where each of us come in. Pinker writes, when that pile of laundry has gone down, it doesn't mean that the clothes have washed themselves. It means we're doing something right. If a type of violence has gone down, then we've made some change to make it so. And so it is with every measure of human progress. Things didn't just get better, we made them better, and we must actively pursue making them better. That's not always going to feel good. When we make part of the world better, we then realize how much further we have to go on all of the other parts. But we are moving forward. We will continue to move forward, even with the wiggles, even with the upticks, even with the spikes, even with the startling reversals that make us feel as if we're going backward in time. There's something very Jewish in knowing that the world is getting better because you perceive it to be getting worse. And that's exactly what Gilbert is arguing happened. It is getting better. Pinker is absolutely right. And you helped to do that. And yes, there are hiccups. There are days when we're going the wrong direction. But it doesn't mean that progress isn't being made. Gilbert's right too. Don't stop helping. On that, both Pinker and Gilbert can agree. We turn in our prayer books to page 341. Those same words were offered by our sages a long time ago, and we offer them this evening in song in the middle of page 341.
Lo alecha necha likmor, lo alecha likmor, lo alecha necha likmor, lo alecha likmor, velo ata ben chovin lehibatel mimena, velo ata ben chovin Velo ata ben chovin lehibatel mimena, velo ata ben chovin. Lo alechem lecha ligmor, lo alecha ligmor, lo alechem lecha ligmor, lo alecha ligmor.
It is not your duty to complete the work. Both Gilbert and Pinker would seem to agree with these words from Pirkei Avot. Neither are we free to desist from it. While you have your prayer books, I invite you to turn back to the bottom of page 282. As we begin to conclude our service, the bottom of page 282 with Aleinu L'Shabeach, I would invite you to rise if it's comfortable when you have found your page.
Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon HaKol, L'Tekidu L'Letzeh Breshit, Shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo samchakenu kahem, v'goralenu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, V'melech al kol ha'aretz, Bayom hahu, Yihya Adonai echad, U'shemo Ushemo echad.
On page 293, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This Shabbat, we remember the following individuals from our congregation. This Shabbat, we observe the period of Shloshim for Mary K. Gollum and Eric Rasko, and we mark the yahrzeit to the commemoration of the passing of Carla Barenbaum, Shirley Bleiberg, Harry Bremen, Clara Budin, Louis Calgaro, Mary Cohen, Benzion Eisenberg, Florence Faber, Robert Gordon, Florence Miriam Gubernick, Philip Kohnberg, Claire Landberg, Robert Harry Lang, Helen Lebovitz, Charles Miller, Toba Myers, Bessie Bremen Osgood, Karen Perlman, Sarah Perlman, Dorothy Rydboard, Carolyn R. Reesberg, Jack Robbins, Mildred Rosenberg, David Rubenstein, Morris Rubenstein, Ruth Schneirov, Tilly Schumacher, Marjorie L. Schwager, Max Silverman, Morris Sonberg, David Howard Staff, Mildred Stern, Sam Trachtenberg, Bertha S. Thompson, Bessie Weissman, and William Wolfson. Wiseman and William Wolfson. To these names we add Herbert Hubscher. And if you are with us in person, you may have received a copy of Mourner's Kaddish that has also been translated into Japanese. There does exist a translation of the Reform Movement's prayer book into Japanese, and it seemed a fitting way to honor those who have departed, as we remember one whose life was taken in an act of political violence, Shinzo Abe, this day. If there are others you remember this Shabbat, or if I've inadvertently mispronounced the name of a loved one, I would invite you to share their name at this time. Yehi zichronam livracha, may their memories be for us an everlasting blessing. Words of Kaddish Yatom can be found in our prayer book on page 294, or the Hebrew and the Japanese translation on your handout if you are with us in the Beit HaTefillah. I invite you to rise as you find your page, that we might affirm together these ancient words. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, Be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayehon v'yomehon, B'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'gala v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam l'amei amaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal, Shemei d'Kudsha b'richu, Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechamata, Damiran b'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya, V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. May God, who makes peace in the highest of heavens, make peace for us and for all who mourn. And together we say, Amen. You may be seated. A special thank you to you, Rabbi Emily Meyer, for joining us in the leadership of services this evening, Leslie Hoffman for making all of the magic happen as usual, and to everyone who is joining us. When I was out in Seattle, my senior rabbi, Rabbi Daniel Wiener, would say in the summertime, kind of like the Marines, we are the few, the proud, and the brave here on a beautiful Pittsburgh summer evening, and that if Jews had a special place in heaven, we'd reserve an extra space for you. And I'm grateful to everyone who is here with us in person and everyone who has joined us online. Let's throw it back a little bit with a closing song, or a lot bit, as Emily Knight opined. Page 322 in our prayer books, Ein Keloheinu. It's back there somewhere. You remember it.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Gadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshiheinu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshiheinu, Nod Eloheinu, Nod Elodonenu, Nod Elemalkeinu, Nod Elemoshiheinu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshiheinu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshiheinu.
Shabbat Shalom.